The gaming industry's self-regulation stint comes to an end. The union government has taken up the reins of regulation now. It will now serve as the regulator for the online gaming sector, replacing the industry-led self-regulatory organization or SRO. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology will draft rules for certifying online gaming that involves monetary transactions. As per IT rules, online real money games will require regulatory approval, while those without real money will not need such clearance. Earlier, the government proposed a self-regulatory mechanism for online gaming. However, the proposals it received for SROs remained dominated by gaming firms and their industry associations. Union Minister of State for Electronics and IT Rajiv Chandrasekhar said the centre did not want the SROs to be controlled by the industry, but rather wanted them to be representative of a wider base. This led to the government to reject SRO proposals put forward by various gaming associations. Presently, gaming platforms in India practice some self-regulation. Industry associations have their own charters that govern the members. Members of All India Gaming Federation or AIGF follow its self-regulatory charter and are audited by the All India Skill Gaming Council. These bodies certify the games offered by its members and act as an SRO when the consumer finds no resolution from its members. So how will the SRO failure impact the gaming industry?
Now the government has decided that they would regulate the industry by themselves rather than allowing self-regulatory bodies to regulate the industry and decide who is a game of skill and who's a game of chance, and where especially where money is involved. So technically, of course, it's a setback to the whole industry as such, because this would involve more government supervision and regulation. And obviously, for any industry, whether it's gaming or any other nascent industry, any government interference or regulation means more compliance burden and more cost. And in that sense, obviously, is going to push back on innovation and on growth, at least in the short term.
However, according to reports, the industry association charters are merely paperworks, as compliance remains voluntary. For example, the e-Gaming Federation does not mandate its members to comply with its standards. There are more than 900 online gaming companies in India. AIGF, one of the largest industry bodies, has only around 10% of the industry as its members. Including AIGF members, only 15% of the industry adheres to self-regulation and best practices.
For a long period of time, games involving money were not allowed. And it was only after a lot of lobbying by the industry, the government reluctantly allowed this, and the courts also gave a favorable decision. So I think it's fair on the part of the government to now come back and say that the industry bodies that were supposed to be, or the SROs that were supposed to regulate the industry or run or overlook the running of the industry, should have had more wider representation or should have involved more independent experts. And I think that could very well be true, where some of the proposals that may have been given by the SROs were more, heavily influenced by the major players who were currently obviously anyway running industry organizations.
Online gaming industry grew at 28% CAGR from FY20 to FY23 to reach 16,428 crore rupees. The industry is expected to grow at 15% CAGR till FY28. However, the share of real money gaming that accounted for 84% of the online gaming market in FY23 may drop to 75% by FY28 due to the recent taxation changes. The imposition of 28% goods and services tax presents a hurdle for the industry, raising operational expenses and eroding profitability. Faced with this, companies are resorting to cost reductions. Some are even shutting down. The government may offer some tax relief after the general elections.
This aspect is something that is heavily, weighing in on their calculations, and that's why a lot of worried. A few of them have shut down. The smaller players have. But I think that is a pretty standard process with any industry. And it's just a sign of gradual growth and maturity. Because over a period of time, the bigger players would continue, or the more stable players will continue. Some smaller players or fly-by-night operators would not have the deep-rooted strength to sustain themselves. And in that sense, yes, in the long run, it might help the industry rather than damage it. But at the same time, I think there is a chance that the government would do a kind of a give and take, where the government decides to regulate the industry, but at the same time give them more leverage as far as the taxation regime is concerned.
In the light of taxation troubles and failures of the SRO system, the outlook for industry in the near term is not all bright. So what comes next?
And I think the way I look at it is, I think in the near term, it's almost inevitable that the government will step in to have their own agency, which would regulate all these real money gaming companies. Now one needs to see the matters of detailing as to what that agency will look like, what that composition will be. So I think the devil will lie in detail in terms of how they wish to regulate it. But it's almost a near certainty that it will be the government that will be stepping in. So in short term, I think that's going to be a major development. I think it will be important for stakeholders as well as government to engage with each other constructively in a way that the mechanism of regulation through that body does not throw the baby out of the bathwater, is not excessive, is balanced, and is reasonable for the industry to flourish.
Although regulation will present short-term challenges, it may benefit the sector in the long run. The regulation could enhance the industry's professionalism and image. With government oversight, industry players may also receive tax breaks or incentives in the times to come.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
She has ambitions of becoming a brand. Business Standard.